Hey guys, how are ya? Welcome back to my channel. It's me, Steven. Now this video is going to be pretty specific to a very, very specific group of people. That's going to be flight attendants with my airline that are line holders or will soon be line holders and really don't feel confident with Flicka and like how to bid. How do you sort the lines so you can see which line has the most credit out of all the lines, so you don't have to look at each schedule to see which one has the most credit, blah, blah, blah. How do you sort lines? How do you add them to your bid sheet? How do you navigate back and forth? That's what this video is for. So if that's not you, there's lots of other videos to watch from me. So there you go. Now this video is going to be too long. And if you guys, anybody needs clarification on something that I mentioned later, feel free, drop a comment in the section below. There's a fruit fly in the house and it just wants my camera. If there's any clarification that you guys want or need, certainly drop a comment in the comment section below and I'll do what I can to explain it. Everything I'm going to share with you is coming right off the top of my head from my experience over the past 7 years. So if I'm missing something or you need more information, drop me a comment in the comment section. Or if you're a flight attendant in my company, you know how to reach me through email. Feel free to drop me an email. Drop me an email. I got the next couple of days off. I'm all yours. All right. Enjoy the video and I'll see you later. Bless you. Bless you, honey. You just missed Eleanor sneezing. It was very cute. Okay, so I'm going to jump into Flicka and see if I can't tweak my bid sheet. I've actually put together quite a lot of trips on my sheet in terms of hoping to get the best line for myself next month. But I'm going to jump in and see if I can tweak things around, and I thought I'd take you with me. So here, I've jumped onto Flicka. Some of the angles I show you are going to be difficult to really get a handle on because I have to try to avoid the airline's name and other coworkers' names and employee numbers and all sorts of stuff. So I'm going to show you what I can. Hopefully it just gives you a good glimpse or a little hint as to what I'm doing when I want to go into my bid sheet and poke around. All right, so can you see my cursor here on the left-hand side going in a little circle? All right, so I'm going to go under this line here. It says monthly bid. May, bidding closes April 13th at noon Eastern Standard Time. If I want to see the whole bid sheet, I'll click on this thing that says LAS May 2024 Flight Attendant Bid Package. Buddy bid, no, never do it. I'm going to click Submit Bids, which is right here. Submit Bid sounds like you've already done it, but you have to click that to get into where you would submit your bid eventually. All right, so normally I've already gone in to start my bids, but normally you would see a little pop-up window that says you have to select your additional bid options before you can start bidding. So you go over to the upper right-hand corner, see my cursor in the upper right-hand corner, and click on additional bid options. All right, so you're going to see a pop-up window that has these 4 buttons here. On the Wave 24/7 button, you see it's required. You have to click on that. You're going to say yes or no. If you waive your 24/7, that means that a 24-hour layover can be your legal rest period. If you say no, the lines that you're presented with are going to have at least 1 day off between every 6 days or less. But if you want to maximize your flying and maximize the number of hours you can get on a schedule, you're almost always going to waive your 24/7. I'm not going to click on these because each time I click on one, my airline name pops up and it's just not good. So ready reserve required. Even if you're a line holder, you still have to say no. If you click on ready reserve and say yes, crew scheduling is going to assign you, if you are a reserve, no matter what, they're going to assign you ready reserve assignments. And that is when you sit at the airport. With my airline, it's only 5 hours. Other airlines, it can be craziness. Excuse me. But you can sit at the airport for 5 hours and you are the last ditch person they would call in the event of an emergency. You would have 15 minutes to get from your crew room or wherever you are in the airport to your gate if they do call you for ready reserve. Ready reserves aren't always called. They're just really for a last ditch effort to save a flight. Relief line, excuse me, if you want a relief line is sort of like that soup you would make after Thanksgiving, where you would put all your leftovers into the pot with a little broth and you'd make a soup. A relief line is put together after all the lines have been assigned, and it would be a cobbling together of whatever line trips are left over after line assignments. And you never know what you're going to get with a relief line. You're going to get a minimum of 72 hours credit. You might get more. You might get amazing trips, and you might absolutely have the worst trash ever. So relief lines, the only people who really submit for a relief line are people who are on the cusp of getting a regular line, and they just want a line no matter what. So I've never really wanted a relief line because, again, I want to know what I'm doing. Relief lines don't, you don't find out what your line looks like until like the 27th of the month. So you only have a couple days notice before the month starts. So I never do it. And buddy bid, I've only buddy bid once with my friend Marcy. I love her, but So if you want to work with somebody, let me see if I can click on this. Hold on one sec. All right, good. The airline name doesn't pop up. So if you want to buddy bid with one or two other people, you would click buddy 1, put their employee number in there, and buddy 2, put their employee number in there. Whomever has the lowest seniority, whoever is the most junior person, that is the bid sheet that they pull from. So if you are super senior and you're buddy bidding with someone who is super junior, you are bringing yourself down to their seniority level. So you really have to like the person you're buddy bidding with, or you're buddy bidding with like a crew, a classmate or something like that. So, or a partner. So that's what you would do right there. I've buddy bid once. I think we ended up working one trip together. So not something I do. So once I've taken care of these two, the bottom two aren't required. The first two are required, no matter if you're a line holder or a reserve. You would just click OK. Okay, so now we're going to have full access to our lines. Now this is one page of 30. You can see the page number in the top center of the screen. I'm sorry, if this is on a cell phone, it's going to be hard to see. I do apologize, but hopefully it gives you some direction. But this is one page of 30. Each of these vertical columns is a line. Each grouping of layovers you'll see here is a pairing. Each pairing starts, we're in Las Vegas, so it starts with an L. If you're in Fort Lauderdale, it would start with an F, for example. And it'll say 9, in this case, 4, 6, 8. In the past, we've changed things temporarily. Any line that started with a 9 was a chaser pairing, meaning you were the 4th flight attendant. You would work with different crews on different aircraft during the pairing. You wouldn't work with the same crew for the whole trip. There would be 3 people who would work a basic crew, and you would add a chaser to that grouping if you needed one. For the next month and however long, we're going to be having pairings of 4 people. So all of our lines start with a 9 for a change. But if you're watching this in the future and you see trips that start with a 3, a 7, or a 9, we have different pairings. Right now, all of our pairings, except for A321 chaser pairing, all lines have 4 flight attendants, except for that 321 pairing. So each of these is a pairing. Now, you'll see some pink blocks up here. I have some things in the sort section that are preferences, so I can sort of see how I can control how each line is presented to me in the order of my preference and what type of trip, how many days I'm working, and so on. So how do you do that? How do you do that? Let me show you. So I've already done this. I typically leave my preferences the same each month. So I'm going to delete my preferences and show you how I reset them. So if you go up in follow my cursor, see it's spinning right there. up in the top left-hand corner, it says the word sorted in red. It might say sort, but because I already have mine sorted, it says sorted. So click on sort, and this window pops up. And I'm going to delete my preferences here so I can show you how to choose one, why I chose what I chose. So there's three drop-down menus here: days, pairings, lines. Days will give you options that have things to do with, like, for example, guaranteed days off. If you're on reserve, you would choose that, so you could select the days you want. Specific days off, specific days on. I like consecutive days off so that I have a large block of time where I can potentially pick up a trip or just take some time off. So I'm going to select consecutive days off. Then there's a whole bunch of stuff up there on top. I'm not going to bother with any of that. I'm going to look at the very bottom of the screen where it says most to least. And then at the bottom, you can't see, it says apply. I'm going to click apply. So now it says priority, number 1, sort by number of consecutive days off, most to least. And it doesn't say any matches on the right because I haven't hit apply yet. And then I like to click on pairings, where this will talk about things that you would find in a pairings, like layover cities, equipment, which is what type of aircraft you're flying. So if you want to fly just a 319, good luck, or a 321. If you want lines with deadheads, how many legs per day. If you don't want to work 5 legs a day, you can select for that. I'm going to click on, what am I going to click on? Wait. I remember what I'd like to click on. Block credit. So block credit is just the highest credit lines will be shown first. I'll show you what that means. You can also say earliest departure time, total duty time, total ground time. For example, if you want to avoid ground time, which is where you have to sit in the airport for 3 or 4 hours, you can select that and then have it least to most. And that will give you the first lines that are available to you will have the least amount of ground time. So that's a handy one to use there. But I'm going to click block credit so I can see lines that have the most credit. And there you go. Also, I'm not going to bother with any of that up on top. Just look at the bottom and say most to least. And then underneath here it says apply, so I'll click apply. Okay, so I've set my preferences so that the first is block credit. I want to see the lines, and that will show up on my left-hand side of the screen. The lines that have the highest amount of credit will be on the left to the right, having the least. And then below that credit number, you'll see that right there. This first line, which is number 050, has 89 hours and 56 minutes of credit for that trip before it's been altered by me. And then the number below it lets me know that there's 5 days off in a row. There's 5 consecutive days off in a row. So those 5 days happen to be right here. This isn't bad. It gives me the trips I like, the days off I like. The only challenge is that it's not going to give me a lot of time to pick up any extra hours because I have a trip that rolls over from last month into this month. So I am working on the 1st. That would only give me the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th to pick up a trip on my days off. So let's look at this next line that's highlighted in gray. It's got 88 hours, 88.26 hours, 11 days off in a row. That piqued my interest. It's got this big block of time off, as you'll see here. But I just told you, I've got a trip that I'm working on the 1st of May, and there's a trip here that overlaps. What happens there? This trip, this pairing, would be removed from my schedule because I have a trip that's already present and on that, and I've been trying to get rid of it, but I can't. So this trip is going to be taken away from me. But I'm not screwed because there are days that I'm allowed to pick up anything out of open time before first come, first serve and all that stuff, so that I can recoup these hours that were lost to me. So I could potentially pick up 1 or 2 trips on these days off. This is why I chose this line as my second choice, because while that's going to take a little work, it gives me lots of ways to manipulate my schedule to a degree I would like. So these lines that are highlighted in gray are lines that are currently on my bid sheet, and those you can see on the far right hand side. You'll see this is my bid sheet. These are all the lines that I have selected. If you click a line, it'll show up on your bid sheet. Let me show you how. So if I go up and for some reason line number 59, which is in the middle of the screen right now, I'm going to click on 059, and that just added it to my bid sheet at the very bottom here. Now up here, if you look, it's kind of soft now. That number is like grayed out a little bit. But if I want that to show up gray, I can just go over to the far right-hand side, and click this little button here that looks like a recycling symbol. Click that, and it's going to refresh the whole screen, and you'll see now that it's gray. So I'm going to go in and delete that because I don't want that line. And to delete it, I'm going to go over and it says delete right next to it. If I wanted to make some space between these lines here, I'm going to click the line next to it. See where it says 32? That's line number 32 on my bid sheet. If I click that, it'll move the things below it down a line. Do you see? So if you want to slip a line in here that you think is better than these, but not as good as these, you can kind of slip that number in there. I'm going to click delete there and delete there to bring that up, and then delete this because I don't want it anymore. Now I have 31 lines selected for my bid sheet. Now, because I'm fairly senior, I know that I'm going to get one of my first ones, but I usually bid for about 25 or 30 lines just in case. So once I'm done, I'm going to go up, and this is you need to do this, guys. You need to, especially if you're in reserve. Go all the way up. See my cursor? All the way up and click on the word any. So if you put a whole bunch of lines on your bid sheet, which is on my right-hand side, see my cursor? If I put all these, if I put all these lines on my bid sheet, but I didn't get one of them, I didn't get anything. If I click the word any, if there's any line available that I didn't get one of these, I will get that line. It's not one of my choosing. It's probably not one that I want, but it's a line. And so if you're on the cusp of getting a line, you always make sure to put the word any in there. If, for example, you're senior, you're fairly senior like me, and I only bid for 5 lines, I didn't get any of them. If I didn't choose any, I'm going to get any line that's left over, and if there's none left over, I'm on reserve. It's a very important button. Remember the button, the any button. And I told you, this is page 1 of 30. You can go over here to the middle of the page, tops where it says line number, and type in 20 and enter, and you're going to go right to the 20th page. Or if you want to see what line 33 looks like, you type in 33, enter, and it's going to bring you right to, see, line 33, which happens to be on my bid sheet. Now 33 happens to be pretty far down my sheet. Let's look at my first choice. I'm going to type in line 57 so I can get a good idea of what my line looks like while I'm looking around trying to see which line I like the best or the worst. So line 57 in the middle of the screen, look at all of those days off in a row. There are 10 days in a row off. I'm working the first, so I've got 9 days off where I could try and pick up a trip. And the things that are left over are easy trips. I'm not a huge fan of flying into Miami, but I'll sacrifice. but they're just 2-day trips, and they give me enough time home between these trips where I can take care of the cats and show them some love and blah, 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 and get to work the next day. So that's one of the reasons I chose that as my first choice. The one next to it, 107, which is pretty far down my list, I selected that one because you can look, I have the first off because I'll be working, the second and the third off, giving me a break between 2 4-day trips. And then there's 1, 2, 3, I think there's 4 trips. Yeah, there's one on the bottom you can't see. There's 4 trips scheduled, all of them with OK credit. It's got 81 hours and 27 minutes of credit. So that's a pretty good line for me. I'd be quite happy with that. So odds are I'm going to get one of my first 5 choices. That's usually what I get. All right, so very, very important, the most important thing, you have to submit your bid. So once you're done with your, you see where my cursor is down here, there's my bid sheet. I like the way it looks. I'm gonna go up to the top here, see my cursor? I'm gonna click submit bids. And what pops up is, there's so many things on this frame that I can't show you, so I'm zooming in a little bit. So what shows up is the trips in order that I place them on my bid sheet. So I can then email myself this information by clicking email. All right, so I'm trying not to show you some stuff, but see, follow my cursor, follow the cursor. See, it says email up here, click email. And this shows up. So you will type in your email address here, a subject, for example, you might say May bids or May bids final, which is what I put in there, just so that I know that any other submission I put in there was not the one I want to pay attention to. And then I can write myself a message if I want to. And if I scroll down, I can see the word send on the very, very, very bottom. And when you click send, you're going to get an email sent to you. Ta-da, look at me, I'm here. You'll get an email that it lists the lines that you have in order on your bid sheet. So when bids are awarded, we get an email the 13th, the night of the 13th or the 4th, I forgot, I think it's the 13th. We get an email saying, bids have been awarded. So you'll see which line you're awarded by your seniority. And that email, you can compare it to your list that you sent yourself as an email to see where you were. So, you know, I usually get my first or second choice because I bid rationally. I bid for lines that I know I can carry, for trips that I know I can get. I'm not going to bid for the most luxurious line with all the most amazing layovers because I'm not going to get it. I know I'm not going to get it because there's 250 something other people ahead of me in seniority who are going to get that line. So I bid for trips that I really like a lot. You can fantasy bid, like bid for all those amazing lines. You might get it. Who knows? Maybe everyone has amnesia that month and you get what you want. But a piece of cat hair just drifted across my face. So there you go. That's how I, in a nutshell, would bid. And I wanted to, in this, I'm trying to give you a little idea on how to navigate around the page. Oh, there's one thing I didn't tell you, how to go from page to page to page. Let me see if I can show you that. Okay, so this is important, so you can sort of get around the pages. So if you look in the middle, that's a refresh button. If you click the button on the far left with the 2 arrows, that brings you to all the way to the left, to the first lines as you sorted them. If you click the one all the way to the right with the 2 arrows, it brings you to the last line as you have them organized by preferences. So I went back to the beginning. If you click on the button with the 1 arrow, notice the numbers underneath. This is 9815. If you click this one button, they all move over 1 slot. If you click this one with the 2 arrows, it's a whole page. See over here it says page 3 of 30. I'm going to click that button again. Now we're on page 4 of 30. And you can use that button to sort of navigate through. Some people use pen and paper to take notes as to which lines they like and blah, blah, blah. You'll find your way. It's a strategy. Something else I forgot to tell you. You can submit the bids, email yourself the bid once you've finished, submitting it. And then after you submit it, you can come back and alter it over and over and over again as many times as you want until bidding closes, which is the 13th at this time of filming. Bidding ends the 13th, I think at noon Eastern time, so 9 a.m. here in Las Vegas. So I forgot to tell you, you can alter your bid, you can change it, you can delete it and start over again. So there you go. All right, now continue watching the video. I'll see you later. All right, I know, tedious, right? It's totally tedious. And no one teaches you how to maneuver and navigate around this page. So it takes a long time to develop a strategy that works for you consistently when bidding. I mean, it probably took me 6 months, 9 months before I really understood everything and knew what to look for and sort of just to be able to scan a page with my eyes and see, oh, that's promising. Let me click on that. So what I'll do when I see a line that I like, I'm gonna typically I like 4-day trips because that means I get a lot of per diem. I want that first day to be a red eye because it starts late in the day, so I have the whole day to myself with the cats or thrifting or napping, whatever. The next day typically is a 24-hour layover or more. Day 3 usually sucks. Day 4 is who knows what's going to happen, but I like a 4-day trip, but one that's not too long. Ideally, I like to be gone 68, 72 hours. That's like my max. And you can tell all of that stuff in the pairing information. So if you want to see what the pairing really looks like, click on the pairing number, the hyperlink. I can't click on it because it's going to show all the hotel information and stuff. Click on that and you can then look at the pairing and see if there's any international trips you want to avoid, if there's any ground time that you want to avoid, if there's any anything about the trip that you just don't like. For example, I hate flying through Houston when there's an international trip because just customs in Houston is awful, especially if you have to jump on the plane again. Oh my God, it's like a 2-hour hassle. But I have developed my own strategy for what I'm looking for in a line or trip, and you too will develop your own preferences. And using the sort button, you have all the ways you possibly could to sort the lines into things that you would like to work. It's kind of like PBS, but PBS is kind of like throwing all your quarters into a slot machine. Then you pull it and you kind of get what you get according to your seniority in each of the preferences. It's not something I want, but and that's just probably not the right way to describe PBS, but I don't want it. I'm not a fan. But there you go. I hope that video helped a little bit in terms of giving you some guidance in terms of how to navigate the page, maybe some insight as to what I do and look for when it comes to lines and trips. Ta-da! There you go. All right, I will see you guys later. Bye. Fly safe.